You made it! Welcome to part 2 of chapter 4, Endocrine Responses to Resistance Exercise. Here we are going to talk a little more about hormones and what happens during exercise. So acute hormonal secretions provide information to the body regarding the amount and type of stress, the metabolic demands of exercise, and thus the need for changes in resting metabolism. Certain hormonal changes occur simultaneously to meet the demands of the exercise bout, recovery, and adaptation to exercise stress. In addition, local inflammatory processes related to tissue damage and repair mechanisms are active by stress and run their time course with recovery. But what is stress? Dr. Hans Selye defined stress as the nonspecific response of the body to any demand made on it, and events that are interpreted as stressful. General adaptation syndrome refers to how the adrenal gland responds to a noxious stimulus. Because of this syndrome, following a resistance exercise session, remodeling of the muscle takes place. However, if the stress is too great, breakdown of the muscle occurs as a result of the inability of anabolic hormones to bind with their receptor in the muscle tissue. So as we talked about before, the magnitude of hormonal response depends on the amount of tissue stimulated, the amount of tissue remodeling, and the amount of tissue required for repair. Because of this, hormonal actions are important both during and after an exercise session to respond to the demands of the exercise stress. Mechanisms of hormonal interaction with muscle tissue depend on several factors, including these three. Hormone concentrations can be determined from blood samples drawn from athletes. However, an increase in hormonal concentrations in the blood is not a prerequisite for seeing gains in muscle and strength, but does present an increased activation for the hormonal release of the endocrine gland involved. So when you train muscles, endocrine glands are also being trained. The involvement of any endocrine gland is dependent on how much support is needed by that gland secretions to support the activated motor units. So if Kelsey just does wrist curls for sets of 15, it is doubtful that any gland will be stimulated to increase the release of hormones. We have 3 primary anabolic hormones. Testosterone is the primary androgen that interacts with skeletal muscle tissue. The growth hormone plays a role in adapting to resistive training, and IGFs are similar to insulin, and they are essential to the regulation of growth and metabolism. Okay guys, we're almost at the finish line. Head over to part 3 of this 3-part series.